Hello, this is Padge and welcome back to another episode of Padge Plays Retro Edition with the game Rampage by Bally Midway officially. This is the Commodore 64 version. This is the version I grew up with, but as you all know, it's been on several hundred of different types of systems. In the arcade originally, they've even made a crappy film, which we'll talk about in a minute, which inspired me to get the old game out. Well, I say get the old game out, this isn't a ROM of it, but I've got this upstairs, hidden away in my attic. It's upstairs, packed away in my very first computer, my Commodore 64, along with lots of others which I will eventually get around to playing on the channel. But yes, I watched I'm going to call him The Rock, because I grew up with Dwayne Johnson as The Rock, so he's The Rock. I grew up with The Rock, yes. so important I had to say it twice there. I had the pleasure, or displeasure, whichever way you want to look at it, of watching Rampage the movie recently. And I wasn't that impressed, in all fairness. The rant will start in a second on why, but let's crack on, shall we? As you can see, we can collect items. We don't really get a lot of choice on what comes up. We just got to pick it as and when. Cactuses are bad, that's all I can remember. Oh, and poison, obviously. So let's crack on. We got George, Lizzie and Ralph. Press fire to join the action. That'd be me then. I figure because I died pretty quick in this, we'll just play for all the characters. I'll have a rant. This is a demo, don't worry about it. And we'll just see what happens. I think it was a rant. No, it wasn't a rant. It's not a demo. I pressed on George, supposedly. So yeah, we'll play as George. Here we go. Oh, sorry, Lizzie. Didn't mean to do that. So yes, the Commodore 64 version. One of the better versions, one would argue, as far as... I went down awfully quick. As far as the home conversions are concerned. The arcade, as always, when we're talking about games from the 80s, is the definitive version. You just can't get away from it. Get away, Ralph. It's a case of the home versions just not being able to keep up with the technology which was available in the arcade. So I don't think, as far as the original games are concerned, which were, should I say, the original conversions which came out, are anywhere near as good as the arcade. So, but this I think is probably one of the better ones, you know, considering all that was available at the time. Spouse of mutant files for suing mutant. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Why would you sue your spouse who has, I would presume, involuntarily turned into a giant monster? And how would that giant monster defend themselves in court? You know, first you have to find a court big enough to be able to house, and then take it from there, I suppose. But get off it, Ralph. We're supposed to be on the same team here. So yes, on watching the film, which we'll go on that in a second, I was inspired to get this out again. I thought, why not? Let's do it. And I've had a little bit of trouble getting it to work. I've had to reconfigure my recording software from the way I usually record stuff in DOSBox and whatnot with this emulator. Got your back, Ralph. Shouldn't have started it. You shouldn't have started it. And well, it's nice. It's a pleasure. I'd like to think that I've got better at this game with me being only like 5-6 years old when I originally played it, with my old hand-to-eye coordination. You know, I've got a fair few years on top experience now, so I should know what I'm doing. But the one thing which came back to me when I first tried this, just to make sure I could get a recording of it, was how janky the controls were. They're very stiff at the best of times. Actually, these guys are doing all right. Usually the CPU players, get off, are rubbish. But that's level 2 we've managed to get through without any problems, which is good. And they are very stiff. It's very difficult to climb buildings, and not so much smashing the windows, because you tend to point towards the window you want to smash and hit it, but definitely doing the damage down the side of the buildings. I shall give you an example when I do that. It's quite difficult. You do have to hold it in just the right place. Can we get him? Oh, lucky police car. This one's not so lucky. Boom! And it does make the game, I think, difficult through no sort of... Well, I wouldn't like to think it's a design perspective from the developer of this conversion. But yeah, it's it's difficult. But again, I suppose back in the day, you only had the 8-way joysticks. It's not like you have. So at the moment, I'm using a 360 controller. It's not like you had the full 360 degrees analog you have today. So I suppose it's probably just a case of the controller being a little bit oversensitive, if anything. Oh, we've lost Lizzie already. I wasn't even paying attention. Oh, he's all over it. Oh, Ralph's gone. Ralph's gone. Now, the nice thing about this is we should, if we're very lucky, be able to eat him. Come here. Or he'll just run off. That's fine. We'll get him next time. So, yes. Rampage. The film. Starring The Rock. He's still The Rock. He's still The Rock. As far as a film is concerned, or a bit of brainless fun, can't fault it. It's all right. As far as a computer game based film is concerned, again, I've seen worse. I've seen worse. You know, Yui Boll, anyone? Yui Boll? Is that his name? Far Cry film and all that? Not good. Not good. But just like with the World War Z license, which was used in the film, I think it's something which has just completely been disregarded, and it could have been so much easier if they had just stuck to the original premise of the game. I'm not saying it played the game played the film straight. It was, very much a brainless film, but I think the reception for the film would have been a lot better if they had just really camped it up, if they really just went for that B movie feel, and they just completely missed it, and it's a shame. It's a shame. I believe it did well in the cinema, and sadly these days it's all about how much money you make. But even so, I think, it could have been so much more. I mean, I understand you've got to try and shoehorn The Rock in there. And if we were going to go by the original premise of the game, which if you're unaware I shall fill you in right now, basically, the three characters, George, Lizzie and Ralph. Do I get to eat my first person? Yes, I do. It doesn't help with health, mind. Are all turned into monsters through different reasons. None of them are... suspected pollution of water supply. None of them are changed by an atomic device, or a comet or something falling out of the sky like it does in the film. As far as I'm aware, what I can remember, George was transformed by a vitamin he took. Lizzie was transformed by having a dip in a radioactive lake. And Ralph was transformed... I've gone. I'm not. I'm still alive. Run! Run! Don't get hit. One more bullet and we're dead. Ralph was transformed by... I think it was a food additive? I think. Don't hold me to that. I think. So, straight away you've got that sort of... I wouldn't say campiness straight off, but it's something interesting, as opposed to, generic bit of spacecraft falls out of the sky. Maybe I should have said spoilers before talking about this. Hey ho. Generic piece of spacecraft falls out of the sky and proceeds to fall on wild animals, and chaos ensues. I understand, The Rock had to be shoehorned in there somewhere. Oh, did they get me? Am I good? Am I good? Yeah. Unusual food additive may be recalled. There you go. But, why couldn't The Rock have played George and taken the food additive and gone a little bit mental, a bit like he did in Doom, and just went a little bit loco? I think that would have been a much more interesting premise to watch, but there you go. No, can't get that guy. I'm going to move away from him. Oh, no, I'm gone. That's it. That's George over. I just think it's a crying shame. It's yet another video game license just not used to its full potential. And as I said, as a standout film's concerned, great. It was all right. But as a premise of a computer game is concerned, disappointing. Anyway, enough ranting about the film. Let's move on to Lizzie, shall we? So, Where is she? There she is. Come on, Lizzie, let's take you out. So George is obviously based on Godzilla. So, wow, I got that wrong. George is obviously based on King Kong. Lizzie is obviously based on Godzilla. Ralph, I don't really know the beginnings of Ralph, other than he's a big werewolf guy. If you look very closely, especially from the side, there's not a lot of difference. Sorry, not from the side, from the front, between George and Ralph as far as the design is concerned. It's not until you actually get the side view where you get to see Ralph's snout, which isn't so prominent from the front. It basically, oh, 2 people please. It basically looks like George with like a hairband on. But hey, I suppose they were restricted by what they could use graphically back then. Why are the AI adamant about hitting each other? Don't they know this is a competitive, definitely not competitive, co-op game? You know, we're on the same team here, guys. You know, world domination. You know, it's a group activity. Spouse of mutant files legal action. Yeah, that's what I meant to say before. Again, you know, you can't sue a mutant. You can't sue a mutant. I mean, yes. I suppose as far as damages is concerned, you could sue them, and I suppose being once human in this world at the very least, that they're going to have assets you could vie for. Don't know how you go about that, but there you go. I guess I'm looking into this a little bit too deeply. It is a game about monsters after all. But yeah, this game was released because obviously it was very successful in the arcades, and as I said, you could argue the definitive version, that's for sure. I want that. It looks like a pack of cards. I want it. Got you. It was so successful, and because it was at the start of it was just after the crash, I believe, when this came out originally. In the arcades, and they converted it about a year or 2 afterwards to different systems. But it's ridiculous on what it came out on, considering the spec. I know it came out definitely for the Commodore 64 because that's what we're playing now. The Spectrum, I'm pretty sure it came out on. The Amstrad CPC, I remember it coming out on. But it even came out on consoles like the NES and the Sega Master System. I believe it even came out on the Atari Lynx, if you remember that. It's one of the better handheld games at the time. Mega expensive. My friend had an Atari Lynx, and I can remember it was super bucks to buy. I was plebbing it with the old Game Boy. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but like I think it even came out for like the Atari 7800 and the 2600. But they were like proper simple compared to these. I think this is a fairly reasonable port of the game. Obviously it's not as pretty as the arcade version, but as I've said before, as far as home computers concerned, you can't go far wrong. Smash. I should be able to get the one window and the next window. There we go. Come on now. But yeah, it's like, I suppose if I had an experimental vitamin given to me, or I'd swam in a radioactive lake, or ate a dodgy food additive, I'd probably want to cause some shit too. You know, I don't suppose it's that pleasant to be, a massive mutant roaming around. I'm trying to hang about for when George eventually changes, because I know you can eat them. Is he going? No, he's not going. He'll change in a second. You'll see. They'll all see. We might be able to get him through to the next level, actually, if we play it well here. No, he's gone. Come here. No, I don't think I got him. Went off the screen too quick. Hey ho, so is the life of mutants, I guess. How? Tip top. We take this bus down. They just speed up. Now it says cured, go back to normal life. So I suppose getting shot at by tanks and helicopters isn't a bad thing all in all. But the thing which I suppose keeps the game interesting is the fact that everything which pops up in the windows is pretty random. I don't know of any set places where you can guarantee things come every time. Oh. A couple of hits there. But I'm pretty sure in the arcade version, when you eat humans, definitely, possibly certain items, you do get a health bonus. But in this one, it doesn't seem to do it. I think it's just, when I go to the building, I think it's just points in this. And the other thing which is missing in this, which I suppose, if you know the game out and out well, you probably understand, but every time you go to a new level, it's supposed to be a different city, but I don't think there's any way of really telling what city you're in. Again, I believe in the arcade version. In fact, I think I've got the arcade version on my main emulator somewhere, so it might be something I can play at some point. I'm pretty sure it tells you which city you're going to. Ha! Gotcha. I'm pretty sure it tells you which city you're going to at the start of each level, which keeps it interesting, I guess. I mean, they all look a little bit different as far as the backgrounds are concerned. Obviously, again, with a Commodore 64 game, you're never going to get, really intricate levels, especially as it's something which does need to repeat several times over. So, there's slight changes in the actual buildings, but nothing major. You know what? I'm going to go for you. No, I'm not. Still being able to take out a bus. I suppose it is a school bus. It looks like a school bus. It's probably not best to eat people, or should I say children, in a game like this. I'm pretty sure things would be said. Come on now. Come on now. No, can't get it. So we're just going for points, really. I think we're doing all right, actually, at the moment. I think this is the highest points I've got so far. I don't think there's any difference between the actual creatures as you play them, though. I was playing this yesterday. Disclosure, this is the second time I've recorded this. As I said, I've had to change around my recording setup because I was getting really bad pixelated screens in between. Oh, am I dead? Ha! No, I'm not. I was getting real bad pixelated screens in between finishing a level and coming to this screen and going into the next level. And it wasn't up to my usual standard, although that standard isn't very high, I'll be the first to admit. I went about trying to fix it. Oh, good for points. And since then, it's been all right. It's playable now. But yeah, at this point, I think I'm just going for as many points as I can get before inevitably becoming human again. Oh, I've gone. And there I go. I mean, I'm green. I'm a green human. A side effect of being a big Godzilla? Possibly. But, it's kicking ass and taking names. Can't moan. That's a good score for me, 18,400. Let's give it one last go with Ralph. Where is he? There he is. Overgrown concern over Mega Vitamin. I'm pretty sure in my playthrough yesterday that Ralph was quicker. He felt quicker when playing him. I don't know if that's just me or... He seems a little bit quicker. Yeah, I've said quicker a lot. His punches seem quicker. Maybe he's got less health. Maybe Lizzie and Ralph have got less health, which is why they tend to die a lot quicker when I play George. I don't know. It's all speculation. But yeah, I just thought, we'll get the Commodore 64 version out. I do tend to, and I don't know why. But this time of year, around sort of spring and all the bank holidays that we get in the UK, I do like to revisit a lot of old games, whether it be DOS related. Like I like to play Jones in the Fast Lane about this time of year, which actually, come to mention it, I have bought a game called This Grand Life recently on Steam, which is supposed to be a version of, or inspired at the very least by, Jones in the fast lane. So expect to see that at the on the channel at some point in the near future. But yeah, I like to crack them all open. And once upon a time, pre-baby, I could have the bank holiday, just chilling out at home, having a few beers. The missus would do what she does, and I'd be able to just play retro games for a 3-day weekend, which was awesome. But now with little PP Junior here, I have very little time spare. That's why I've been a little bit all over the place with my recordings recently, and it's me just trying to figure things out. The missus has actually gone back to work now full time, so we don't get to spend a lot of time with the little nipper, but it's a case of we're trying to spend as much time as we can with him. So I do apologise over that. There's going to be a talking and trucking episode at some point explaining what's going on, but I'm trying to keep it as normal as I can, as much as I can. You know, real life and all that. It sucks, but hey, wouldn't change it for the world. But these two, in fact, Lizzie isn't doing too bad right now. She's playing a little bit more of a team game. I mean, she's into the 1,000 points, which is good. Usually we're lucky if they get anywhere close to 1,000. In fact, it's going to be good if we can keep them all alive to the next level. Come on now. There we go. I mean, I know it's possible to take out the tanks, but I just can't seem to get the buses. Jump when you see the dust clouds. Haven't quite figured out the jumping on the dust clouds yet. Jumping is a bit of an enigma. I know you can jump on top of buildings. I mean, do I hold down the punch button and jump? Ah! Right, you just hold down the punch button and you jump automatically. Good to note. Good to note. Right, let's go to this next building. Wow, they're like really going for it. Oh, Lizzie, you fiend. Oh, George is gone. Yeah, it's too far off the screen. Alright, never mind. Well, the other thing I learned when playing this game was Wreck-It Ralph, the book, the video. Get it all wrong. I can't multitask very well. Do excuse me, guys. The Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph is actually named after Ralph in Rampage, who coincidentally likes to go around and wreck stuff. One thing I read on the wiki. I like to do a little bit of research before playing these games. Not too much, because you guys would expect it all the time, but just a little bit of research. Looks like Liz is going to be hanging about me for a while. Oh no, she's gone. She's gone. Oh, that might have been my fault. Can we eat her at the very least? Come on, let's finish with an eat. Oh, yeah, she got away. She got away. All right. Well, just trust me on that. You can eat the people as they go. Want to eat well, punch slower. I haven't figured out how to punch slower yet. Don't quite know if that means just, well, like they say, just holding in the punch, because you're holding the punch and, well, it sort of jumps instead, as we found out. I think we got this. I think we got this. Let's go get these guys. I mean, you wouldn't have thought, but the helicopters are pretty easy to dodge, because you know when they're going to fire, because they hover on up a bit and then come down at a diagonal angle, like so. Unless you want to build that is, and then you can't get around it. But it's the people in the windows which are a real pain, because they fire very quick and very consistently. So usually, if you have to go and stop them firing at you, it takes a few hits from them to you before you can actually sort them out. Bit of a pain, but hey ho. And I suppose, as far as games going back in from the arcade, especially, and so much with the home versions as well, is that the difficulty has to be ramped up at times to get you to keep playing, because these games aren't big. There's not a lot to them. I mean, there are certain games out there which do it justice, but ultimately, if I made them too easy, you'd be completing them too soon, and I suppose moaning about it. Whereas these days, obviously, difficulty is something which can usually be transfixed by the person who's playing it. You know, if you want to play it on easy, that's fine. There's a not a rant as such, but there's definitely a video in this for me, which I'm looking at doing at some point, about difficulty and how I think playing it on easy isn't a bad thing, especially for someone with such restricted times to be able to dedicate to doing their hobby as I have these days. But back then, as I said, you know, unless they made the games hard and sometimes nigh on impossible to complete, then it'd be a case of you being able to finish these games in, you know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and well, that's not good for anyone. You know, you're not going to get a lot of returning customers if you do that. But I think this is where I got to last time, I think, with Lizzie. So I'm improving. I mean, any improvement you see of me in any game is good. No, can't reach him. There's far too many people here. I need to eat someone. I need to eat you. I need to bring this build down as quick as I can, so I get to the next one. I mean, here we go. You know, the end is nigh, I feel now. I go high. No, I'm gone. Hey ho, did I get to 500 off? 500 off 20k, that would have been my best score ever. And there you go, that's Rampage. I started to run out of things to say towards the end. There's only so much you can say about 3 crazy monsters going around wrecking city after city. But hey, I think I got an episode out of it. Thank you for watching. As always, a like is appreciated. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.